Hi everyone, it's Reverend Tyon, and today I'm going to be doing some reading for you out of my novel, A Letter to Heaven. Uh, this is my original manuscript, which I completed in 2002. The version of A Letter to Heaven that's available on Amazon is an extended version with letters to my sister up until the year 2009. But I believe when I put the book into print, this is going to be the first volume, and then there will be sequels. Since 2009, there's still letters that I've written to my sister on my computer. Before I start, I would like to preface it with a statement of intent, which I'm going to include when I put it into print. I want everyone to know that it was not my intention to harm anyone through the writing and publishing of this book, nor was it my intention to paint anyone in a negative light. But the fact is that this book is not a work of fiction. It is a biography intended to be an inspirational memoir to uplift and encourage anyone else who might be going through similar difficult circumstances. And that life always gets better, even though it might get worse again, but then it's going to get better. And I just want to try to put that message out there. And in order to do that, I have to share my personal story, and there are people that were involved in my life, and I just want them to know that I never intended any harm. If they are hurt by anything I say in this book, I want to extend my apologies. But the book is the story about life, and unfortunately, life is not always pretty. Please forgive me if I get a bit emotional. Even after 19 years, the pain of losing my only sister is still pretty raw. And these are a lot of special memories, so it may be difficult for me to get through this at times, but just bear with me, please. Acknowledgement. LaDawn was so talented. She painted, she sewed, she quilted. She did needlepoint, and she could do any one of them while reading a novel all in a day. And yet she still managed to keep up on her bookkeeping business and part-time job, even while struggling with her addiction to alcohol. I don't know how she did it, but she definitely gave her all to everything she did. She left behind 2 small boys. Eric, who turned 6 only 2 days after her death, and Corey, who was barely 2. I'm sure he hardly remembers her now. She was older than I by a year and a half, but married and had children much later in life. Anxious to go out and conquer the world, she grew up fast. Independent and defiant, she found her own way. She put so much of herself into everything she created, so much love, so much patience, and a tremendous amount of perfection, from the needle points that now decorate my walls to the little stuffed bunnies and bears and cats she created that now smile down upon me every day from my shelves. She left so much in such a short time. You see, she didn't even get to turn 33. So it is to my only sister, LaDawn, that I dedicate this book. She inspired me like no other. It is my hope that in some small way, I too can leave a part of me behind by helping others with my words. I don't know if I will ever touch as many lives during my stay on this earth as LaDawn touched during hers, but I hope that by sharing our lives and our experiences with others, I will be able to touch a few at least. Thank you, LaDawn, for being as truly beautiful as you were, both inside and out. Introduction. I had never really lost anyone close to me before. Well, besides my grandpa, who died when I was 13. And I simply distanced myself from that. I told my mom that I didn't want to go to his funeral, and she didn't make me. Thank God, and thank you, Mom. I never wanted anything to do with funerals. I always found them to be morbid and barbaric. All they do is put money in the pockets of businessmen who enjoy preying upon the grief and guilt of loved ones left behind. Those who feel devastated, weak, and lost, and are in no condition to make financial decisions, are told that they should want to give the best to their loved one, the finest wood for his coffin, the finest silk for the lining, so it will last longer. Why? Our bodies are made up of the exact same substances that make up this earth. Science has found practically every one of the chemicals that exist in the ground somewhere in our bodies. So it seems obvious to me that we came from the earth to begin with, and we should go back to the earth when we die. I always said that when I died, I wanted to be cremated. No funeral. No big deal. I want a simple prayer and my ashes planted beneath a weeping willow, because I always loved weeping willows. And when others stop to admire the tree, they will feel my energy, for I will be there. I will be everywhere, my spirit freed. Don't get me wrong, I'm in no hurry. But I've always had this feeling that there was more to me than my physical being, that my body was simply a shell or container, if you will. I have always been very aware of my inner self. I truly believe our bodies were constructed for the sole purpose of housing our soul while we are here on this earth, and I'm sure our spirit doesn't care what happens to the container once we've left it. So why then do people so often feel compelled to hang on to the bodies of loved ones, whether it be in a coffin or an urn? It's beyond my understanding. I never saw the sense in painting a dead body and putting it in a fancy box lined with silk for people to look at one last time, just to place it in the ground where it will slowly mummify because of the embalming process the grieving family agreed to pay for. And it seems just as stupid as me to stick ashes on a shelf to sit forever. I want to get everything I can out of life while I am here, and leave everything behind when I go. I cherish every single moment, good and bad, because we are only here for such a short time. That's one thing I do know for sure. Sometimes life is way too short. This is my tribute to my only sibling, my sister, a beautiful woman who was troubled at times, but who touched many lives and left them better for it. A mother of two who didn't get to be on this earth very long, but whose spirit is still very strong. I love you, Ladon. Forward. After answering all those phone calls, I found myself wondering, if I should die, who would cry for me? Ladon had so many friends and people who cared about her. The condolences came non-stop. I had to wonder because I really don't associate with a whole lot of people. I mean, I have several friends who I write to. Special friendships that have developed over many years. Due to relocating again and again, though, they have become long-distance friendships, but lifelong ones as well. Since I prefer to make friends for life, I'm pretty choosy about who I make friends with in the first place. I always joked that I liked animals more than people, but it's basically true. Animals don't judge you or hold grudges. My sister, on the other hand, loved people, all people, and she befriended everyone. She wanted to live big, to experience everything, and she did experience a good deal. Probably a lot more than she should have. She wanted to be a star. She even modeled for a while. And she would do anything for anybody. Yes. To know her was to love her. But despite the beautiful smile and the positive energy which just radiated from her, I have come to realize that Ladon was never really, truly happy here on Earth. Chapter 1. From Denny with Love. January 4th, 1996. Dear Ladon, tomorrow is your birthday, and I am dreading the day. You would have only been 33. It's just not fair. Oh, how badly I wish you were here. I miss you so much it hurts, and it's only been a week since you left us. I can't even concentrate on work. All I do is sit and think about you, about growing up and growing apart, and discovering a wonderful friendship in our adulthood, finally gaining that extra bond of motherhood. I still remember the first inkling of mothering I saw in you. It was right after Brian was born, when you flew down to see me. You held him and looked at him with that look in your eyes. Cradling him close to your cheek, you said, "I don't know. What do you think?" And then you smiled and quickly said, "No, I don't think so." And you handed him back to me. I knew your feelings would change eventually when you finally became a mother. 7 years later, you were the most doting mother I'd ever seen. Then we gained a bond that we had never been able to share before, because you finally understood what I had always known. how wonderful the very basics of life were, what a miracle children are, and what a gift motherhood could be. It was something you thought you never wanted, but found to be a beautiful thing. I was watching our old home movies the other day, and of course, you remember, more than half of them are of you, before I was even born. LaDawn, coming home from the hospital. LaDawn, standing in her crib. And so on. The first one of me was at age 3 months. And in the next, I'm already a year. Of course, you're also in those with me. But I understand why Mom and Dad couldn't resist filming you all the time. You always had star qualities. You were so precious and so pretty. And you had that same sweet smile and those great big dimples that you still had as an adult. I always envied you for that. Well, for a lot of things, actually. You were always prettier, always smarter, stronger, and more talented than me. You could play the piano with ease while I struggled to follow the notes and make my hands work together. And you had a voice like an angel, and you weren't afraid to show it. I was so timid, I couldn't, and still can't, really, sing unless I'm alone in the car or just in front of my kids. And then, sometimes, I think I kind of sound like you. Your skin was always perfect, and your hair was always beautiful. It grew 4 times faster than mine, and it seemed like you didn't even have to try. You were simply a natural beauty. Now Mom tells me that you always thought I was the special one, the smart one, the pretty one. That because I was smaller, more fragile, more delicate, you always felt like I was everyone's favorite. And I always believed you were so much better than me. I always looked up to you and respected you and wanted to be more like you. But I never could, no matter how hard I tried. Mom used to tell me that when they brought me into her hospital room, she told them they had the wrong baby. There I was, bald and red-faced. But how? LaDawn was born with long, dark hair and olive complexion. Believe me, I heard that more than once. Yes, you were beautiful, right from the very start. And so you deserved all those moments in the spotlight, all those home movies. And I am so grateful that I have them now. You were always the star of our family, and you always will be. I honestly cannot bring myself to say that Mom and Dad went overboard, but there are movies of your room, of your toys, and of all of your little dresses laid out neatly on display. Reels marked LaDawn, outside of house, 6/8/64, and LaDawn, outside of house, 7/13/64, and on and on. There you are, dolled up in some little adorable dress, with your hair in that little Cupid doll curl that Mom always loved to put our hair in. Running down the sidewalk, smiling as usual, with your nose all wrinkled up. Or playing in the grass, or picking flowers. Oh, so beautiful. Oh, and then there's me. Well, sort of. Mom's pregnant. And all dressed up for church in a dress that matches yours. Mom told me you were a little jealous of me when I came along, though I don't understand why. Perhaps it was just because you finally realized that the world didn't revolve around you alone. You always did like to be the center of everyone's attention, and I must admit, you were very good at it. Even on my first birthday, as I see from old home movies, you had to steal the show, and smiling ear to ear, you blew out my candle. Yes, most of our home movies are of you, and the rest capture our childhood together. Camping, skiing, sightseeing at Jamestown or Fredericksburg, and birthdays and Christmas until we're about 7 or 8. Then there are no more, except for the few of the cats and kittens who also shared our lives for all those years. We had so much fun growing up together, didn't we? We were given the absolute best. So many opportunities and experiences. Oh, how much we learned. With Dad in the military, we moved a lot. So friends came and friends went. But we always had each other. And even when we fought, as all siblings do, we never questioned our love for one another. I would have died for you. And I know you would have done the same for me in a heartbeat. God, I miss you every day. I think about you every day. And I know I always will until I see you again. I worry about Eric and Corey, though. How are they going to grow up without you? Will they be okay? How will they know? Why did you go? Damn, it's not right. You know, Dad feels so guilty about what he did for kicking you out and writing you off like that. He regrets all the time he lost with you, the time that he wasted with both of us. He feels somehow that your death is his punishment. He has some absurd idea now that if he had just stayed out of our lives, had he not tried to contact us again, that you might still be alive. He's carrying a heavy burden for the decisions that he made 12 years ago. I wish I knew how to help him through it. He feels that he could have changed it all, I suppose, if he had not ever abandoned us. But that's not the way life works. Things can't be changed. At least we were able to get back in touch before it was too late. I am thankful for that, and I'm sure you are too. I told him he can't take the blame for this. Nobody is to blame except maybe the doctors. Part of me thinks they should have seen this coming. It just doesn't seem like it should have happened. Just a few weeks ago we were talking and laughing on the phone. So happy to have found Dad again. And you were fine. I wish I knew what happened. But there are no answers. No reasons. You're just gone. Laton, why are you gone? I wish you could tell us somehow what you know now. Well, maybe someday, huh? I'm going to quit for now. I just wanted to wish you a happy birthday and to tell you that I was thinking of you. I miss you. Love always, Denny. Chapter 2. The phone call. I will never forget that awful day. It is forever etched in my mind. December 19th, 1995. The day I received the most horrifying phone call of my life. I was at cosmetology school when Mom called to tell me that my sister, after having been in the hospital for a week being treated for dehydration, had just hemorrhaged in the brain and was being rushed to emergency surgery. Mom was flying out immediately to Las Vegas to be by LaDon's side. I wanted to go too. I was terrified that I was never going to see my sister again, because just 2 days earlier, I had dreamed of her death, and this was all too real. I got a ride home from school because no one thought I was in shape to drive. I made quick plans, mapped a route, grabbed all the kids, and drove 14 straight hours through the night to Las Vegas, Nevada. I feared I was going to get there just to be told that I was too late. When I arrived, LaDon was drifting in and out of consciousness. Half her head had been shaved, terribly swollen and scarred from the surgery. She didn't even look like herself. She was yellow all over, and her face was so swollen, and yet she was still so beautiful. I held her hand and I talked to her, and for a brief moment she looked at me, and in that instant I knew she knew I was there. But then her eyes slowly rolled back into her head, and she was gone again. For 2 straight days, this was the ritual. Then one night, as we all sat around her bed just watching her lay there, hoping for a miracle, she had an awful seizure. For 5 frightening minutes, we all froze and waited as her body stiffened, arms stretched straight out, fists clenched tightly, and she moaned uncontrollably. Her heart rate soared to 185 beats per minute, and we were all sure it was the end. Perhaps it would have been easier if it had been, for her and for us. But instead, the week to follow was just a series of emotional ups and downs, as we all hoped for her recovery, struggled for strength, and tried to envision what the future was to hold. LaDon had slipped into a coma at some point during the seizure that day, and though we all prayed for her to wake up, she never did. We were prepared to spend the rest of our lives, if necessary, helping her to recover, but the doctors were not optimistic at all. They gave us no hope. They told us that the clot on her brain was so large that it had damaged a part of the brain that controlled her waking. She would remain, for all intensive purposes, asleep to the world. She would never be able to talk again or move. She had lost the ability to swallow or even cough, and she was completely paralyzed on her right side. We spent days and nights watching, looking for any little improvement, but no matter how much we hoped or prayed or thought we saw, she only continued to get worse. The swelling increased with every CAT scan, and on December 27th, the doctor called us to get permission to remove life support. It was the hardest decision we ever had to make, letting her go. But I knew my sister, and LaDon would not have wanted to live like that. She loved expressing herself too much, and I believed that if any part of LaDon remained trapped in that body, she would have gone stark raving mad. So we chose to free her spirit. They expected that she would continue breathing on her own for a day or two, and when she stopped, they would not resuscitate her. How we wished we could help her as she lay there gasping for air. Why couldn't they give her something to help her go? To make it easier? We do it for our animals. Why is it considered wrong when a person is dying? LaDawn died on December 29th, 1995 at 1:30 a.m.